gentlemen, I'm getting a call. Just hold up from my boss. Just let him know I'm live.
Oh no, he's on to us. He says, "What the heck are you doing with that Zach guy trying to go live on the?"
Yeah. Okay, hold on. Okay, for the viewers, be patient. Sorry for taking a little while. Okay, so I think with that we'll get into it. Good afternoon, everybody out there. Welcome back to the 7th Generation Podcast, where we uplift voices, share stories, and create pathways for our people through media, business, and community leadership. Today's episode is all about opportunity, empowerment, and economic growth right here in Onion Lake Cree Nation. We're joined by Zachariah, who is here to talk about the hybrid Onion Lake Cree Nation business and entrepreneurship skills training program, also known as BEST, delivered in partnership with the Canadian Centre for Aboriginal Entrepreneurship. This program is fully funded, open to community members and designed to help people dream their business, grow their business, and run their business. Whether you already have an idea, a side hustle, or you're just feeling that pull to build something for yourself and your family, this episode is for you. So grab a coffee, lean in, and let's get into some powerful conversations with Zachariah. So I think for starters, for people who don't know you yet, who is Zachariah and what do you do?
Who is Zachariah and what is the Canadian Centre of Aboriginal Entrepreneurship? Well, I'm a Métis entrepreneur myself. I started my first company when I was 17, just 13 years ago, and I've been full-time self-employed ever since. And over the last, well, I would say 5 years or so, I've started to become a bit more of a serial entrepreneur, branching off into new directions and starting new businesses of many different kinds. But I started working with the Canadian Centre of Aboriginal Entrepreneurship just over 8 years ago. And I found this program because I was looking to bring a training to my local Indigenous community in Toronto, something that would be hands-on with the participants and, most importantly, get them actual results. Because time and time again, I had attended many entrepreneurship and marketing training and sales trainings and personal development trainings where I just didn't see people getting hard results out of the program. So that's why I partnered with CCAE, because they were the only Indigenous-led entrepreneurship training organization that had been around for over a decade and had a track record of success.
Awesome. What does entrepreneurship mean to you personally?
What does entrepreneurship mean to me? I think it really comes down to the individual, actually, because I always say that creating the right business is all about creating what's right for you, finding something that's based on not only your skill sets, but most importantly, what you love to do and what fits with your life. So sometimes entrepreneurship means taking a side hustle or a side hobby, something that you just love doing, you're sewing, you're beading, you're painting, and turning it into something that can make a very reasonable revenue stream for yourself to help supplement your full-time income. And then sometimes it means going full-time into it, like I did when I first got started at 17, and taking on a business that is something that you just really love to do, but you want to learn more about it and be able to progress yourself to a new level in life, and taking on to a point that a normal full-time job would never allow you to do.
Awesome. I love that. Why is programs like this one so important for Onion Lake right now?
Well, I delivered the first hybrid program in Onion Lake back in November. And I think everybody who's visited Onion Lake sees that there's an opportunity for economic development. And this is an experience that's not unique to Onion Lake, because it's being seen in First Nations all across our country. We have a great opportunity of populations growing with very little economic development achieved so far, but the community needs that economic development. It's not just about creating businesses to give opportunity to the individuals who do that, but businesses create job opportunities. They also create revenue opportunities for the community itself, and most importantly, create opportunities for the community to maintain interaction and growth and support within their nation, so that people don't have to go somewhere else, because that's one of the biggest issues that we're seeing on the community development side. If there's no economy, there's no jobs, there's no businesses, there's nothing for the kids to do. What do? They leave, right? And how much of a community do you have when all the children leave? Not much.
Yeah. Same. Yeah, I think you touched on a good point there, like with the whole economy, building our own economy in Onion Lake and providing spaces for membership to, I guess, contribute to that and help try and capture the cash flow rather than it leaving to Lloydminster or nearby cities and towns, trying to find ways to keep it within the community so that our community has, I think, the cash flow or the equity to continue building the community. So yeah, so I think with that, we'll move on to the next question. What is the best? So again, BEST for the viewers out there. What is the best, yeah, business and entrepreneurship skills training? What is that program, and how did it come to Onion Lake Cree Nation?
Good question, Fraser. And the best training is a program that was developed by the founder of our organization, Canadian Centre of Aboriginal Entrepreneurship. Viewers can learn more at ccae.ca, but our founder, Bruce Lacroix, was a Métis entrepreneur who founded the organization just about 25 years ago because he saw the need for economic development in our Indigenous communities across the country. And he wanted to put something together that would help them get results, something that when they are taking the training, they're walking out with completed projects like a website in hand, a business plan that they can take to financiers, there's a marketing brand that they can use to better sell themselves and represent themselves as businesses, not only locally, but potentially nationally as well, or internationally if that's what they want. And the program is developed on the fundamentals of what it takes to either start or grow a business to successful levels. So many of our participants come in, just have an idea, or maybe haven't even formed an idea yet, but then another percentage of them already have something in operation. And they're just looking to either make it more sustainable or more profitable or scalable for themselves. So the business program covers the fundamentals on picking a business that's right for you, creating it so that it's right for your skill set and your lifestyle, the marketing techniques that are needed to sustain a successful business or grow it to the next level, managing finances and tax implications that might be important to any individual business, doing market research for growth strategies and coming up with competitive advantages to help them compete in any market, as well as the e-business or the technology literacy portion that's necessary for your basic small business owner. Not everybody needs to be a whiz on a computer, but knowing a few of the buttons to help you get started certainly makes a big difference, and we help them develop that. And then the next portion that's really important is the financial literacy that's built into this training, because we've always said it doesn't matter how much money we show you how to make if we don't teach you the fundamentals of how to manage the money, both for yourself and the business. There'll still be zero left in the bank account at the end of the day, right? So we do spend a good deal of time on the financial literacy portion of things as well. And most importantly, the end result is that participants are leaving with a brand, with a business plan, and with steps of what they need to do to achieve whatever goal of success they built for themselves.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the sound of all of this. So next part, our next question is a two-part question. As far as the program coming to Onion Lake, who is this program designed for, and what makes this a hybrid training program?
Ooh, good question. So our hybrid training programs now, our best programs, we do offer them in three different versions. So you have online programs, in-person programs, and hybrid programs. And this program was chosen to be a hybrid program so that it can best reach members of the Onion Lake Cree Nation. because I understand that you have a good deal of population that's not necessarily on nation, but then of course you want to be able to serve the in-nation members as well. So it's built so that you can provide this program to everybody. And essentially what happens is we operate the program in a hybrid capacity. There's a virtual classroom that takes place at the exact same time as the physical classroom. And I'll be the lead instructor for this program, facilitating both, but I'll have an assistant facilitator on the video call who will be helping us manage that classroom as well. So you essentially have two facilitators working in sync to manage two in sync programs. One is via Zoom and one is in class. And there's an interaction in every class between the virtual classroom and the physical classroom, making it as seamless as possible for everybody to participate. But giving that hybrid option is really great because, of course, some people really appreciate that in-person learning opportunity, being able to connect face-to-face, which I love that myself. I always say in-person is the most fun option, but online is an important component as well because it reduces all of the most common barriers that make it difficult for people to access a program like this, like childcare and travel expenses and time management if they already have a full-time business or a full-time job. So doing hybrid gives them the best of both worlds.
Yeah. So I was talking to Lydia, and I think there's a couple key points she wanted to get across, just for the viewers out there and for our membership. Just for the viewers out there, this is a program being facilitated or hosted by our Atascastan program, our ETC, Employment Training and Careers with Lydia Lewis. The in class or the in-person portion of the program, I think is primarily targeted for our social assistance clients. So if this is something that interests you, coordinate with Lydia Lewis and the ETC program. For the online portion of this program, it is open to non-SA members, primarily members within the community. So if this is something that interests you, for more information, you can contact Lydia. And like Zachariah mentioned, it's a hybrid program. So they'll be running the in-class or the in-person portion along with the online portion of this. I think there is limited seating for the in-class or the in-person program or portion. There's 12 seats available. For the online portion of this entrepreneurship workshop or this class, there's 18 seats available, limited seating. There's no cost to apply or to get your name on the list. Start date is March 10th, 2026. And yeah, it'll all be here in Onion Lake. It's a 3-week program for the online portion, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for 3 weeks. Not sure if I missed anything, Zachariah, on that.
No, I think you about covered it perfectly there, Fraser. So like you said, the first class kicks off on March 10th, and we go from 3 weeks, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, all the way to March 26th. And then we're going to have a graduation ceremony to celebrate the accomplishments of the program participants that will bring both the virtual attendees and the in-person attendees together for a ceremony on March 27th.
Okay. Okay, awesome. Right on. How does this program help people turn an idea into something real?
Great question. So that's a big part of session one within this program, or our first class, is we look at all of the different options there are for businesses, not only within necessarily your local community, but also your national and even international communities based on your skill sets, your goals, and what you love to do. And it's not just for those who are first-time entrepreneurs or just starting a business, because one of the most common ways to increase an existing business's revenue or to change the operation so that it's a better fit for an already existing business owner is to look at other streams of revenue that can be created through new product or service lines. So we really drill into helping an entrepreneur not only identify what's right for them and in their individual lives, their family lives, but also based on their skill sets and what there is a market demand for.
What do participants usually struggle with at this stage?
What do participants usually struggle with at this stage? I would say one of the most common struggles. Now, I would say it's only a struggle until they get into the program. One of the reasons why I continue to call this the best program is not just because of the acronym for business and entrepreneurship skills training, but because 100% of the last 1,000 participants I have had unanimously agreed that it was the best community training they've ever participated in. So it's only a struggle until they join the program, but I'd say one of the most common ones is self-confidence, because for many new entrepreneurs, they're getting into something or have an idea to get into something that they've never necessarily done before. So they just need that guidance on how to develop their self-confidence, give them a space to flesh out their business plans, flesh out their branding and messages, make sure that there's a market demand for what they need, and help make sure that they get market research that will guide them to reaching the right target market and making those crucial early on decisions for success. And then the same thing applies for those already existing business owners, because they're often in cases where they've been doing something for several years, but it's still just not giving them what they wanted out of it. Right now, they've been doing this over and over again, and they're starting to go, "Oh my God, why is this not working? Why are these bills still racking up? Why am I still not paying myself what I need to make? Why am I still not able to employ my family like I wanted to?" So they get into the kind of the bubble of no growth or change and frustration that's caused by that. And then they just need some guidance, essentially a new set of eyes from outside of the box that says, no, you just need to do this and all your problems go away.
Awesome. So next question I have, and I'm not trying to be too revealing with the program. What does grow your business look like inside the training?
What does grow your business look like inside the training? So for those who already have a currently operating business.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those who already have a currently operating business, first of all, it starts off with figuring out what parts of the businesses are working for the business owner and what parts are not working. And then we put together a strategy on how to do all of the things that are working more and how to get rid of all the things that aren't working for the business owner. I like to call it the process of deal with problems. Delegate, eliminate, automate, liberate. Deal. DEAL. And then we help them develop a strategy that'll help them get to either the existing target market more effectively, or create a new target market that's a better suit for their products or services, and help them develop a brand that will help them reach that target market. That's one of the things that's most needed, especially for those who have already started operating the business. They got going, they started selling some products or services through referral or connection, but they never had the time or the money to invest into creating the brand, so they were never able to expand outside of their own circle.
Awesome. Why is entrepreneurship so powerful for indigenous communities?
Great opportunity is the short answer. And opportunity is created by need within a market. So, for example, when we visited Onion Lake, or when I visited Onion Lake back in November, it's a population of 7,000 people, roughly, on nation, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on it. My numbers might be a little off. I think it was 7,000.
Yeah,
But
I think it's seven, like around seven total, and I think on reserve is about four.
okay, so on nation, 4,000 total, 7,000. But for a community that has 4,000 people in the community, the economy is Subway and a gas station.
Yeah.
Right? So a lot of opportunity there. We're talking restaurants, gift shops, tour activities, a hotel, Airbnbs. For example, Airbnb is a really good one because there's virtually nothing for accommodations within immediate distance of the community. And Lloydminster, or really any accommodations, is like a minimum 45-minute drive.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Another example could be transportation services, like private transportation services, because of course there's a community bus line and that's great, but sometimes people need to get where they're going now, or they need, direct assistance or something that'll pick them up at their home rather than the local stop.
Mhm.
And then other simple stuff with one thing that we see in the more rural communities, besides the obvious need of like brick and mortar stores or essential services, is because there's a more rural community, there's also a great opportunity for e-commerce markets. So with lower costs that come with operating a business in a rural area, you have a great opportunity to sell things online and be able to create a really great business income based on your location, as well as drive revenue into the community without even having a brick and mortar store.
Nice. What about in regards to procurement? Is that something you heard about or something you're familiar with a little bit out there?
Next question. Skip that one. Just kidding. Procurement. So procurement is mainly used to describe governments and larger corporations making purchases from businesses, which is certainly an opportunity that we cover within our best program. Procurement is really getting your business ready to sell to those larger clients, and that really is that is it in a nutshell. But what we
Mhm.
do to help them get ready for that is build a foundation for their business so that they can handle those larger clients. So what we often see of example of participants that haven't been through a program, or entrepreneurs who haven't been through a program like ours, say they start a catering business, very common industry for our community members to be getting into right now. But if they don't go through our program, we don't teach them what's involved with going to these larger clients. And then they get a contract with, say, TELUS or some major conglomerate or the provincial government for their annual gala of whatever. And
Mhm.
then they do the catering, and then they say, okay, where's the check for the catering? And the government goes, oh, what do you mean check? We don't give checks on the spot. No, we're the provincial government. We don't pay our bills for like at least 3 to 6 months after the service has been delivered. But
Yeah.
the individual independent caterer goes, what do you mean you don't pay your bills for 3 to 6 months? I kind of need that money now because I already paid everybody who came and did the catering and paid for $5,000 worth of food to serve all these people. And they go, sorry, we're the government. So we help them set up the business so that they are aware of what the client's timelines are going to look like, acquire
Mhm.
financing that they may need to cover shortages, or develop policies that'll help them manage taking on larger clients like that, if they even choose to do so. Because in many cases, they might decide, you know what, selling to the federal government does mean, or federal government, provincial government, municipal governments, larger
Mhm.
corporations, means big dollars, but it also might mean more than what the capacity of that business owner wants to take on.
Yeah. Yeah, I might be off the target here, but procurement, when I heard this word, and I could be totally off on this, but um like I think there's opportunities for, say, First Nations businesses, First Nations people to get into certain markets where industry or government, they have a certain percentage of the market dedicated to, say, First Nations people. So now they provide a service or a good into the market. It's like uh, I don't know if saying guaranteed, but a guaranteed spot within the market where you can provide the service or good and be competitive within the market. I think there's quotas that the government or industry, they want to meet, and so in a way, it could be a little advantage for First Nations people to get into certain areas. For example, like oil and gas, that's kind of big for us here in Onion Lake and the surrounding area. Say you want to get into, say, like the oil field in some capacity. Yeah, I think there might be little advantages in there to run a sustainable business as an entrepreneur and just kind of be competitive, I guess, in that market. But like I said,
Absolutely.
I could be totally wrong on that.
Yeah. So, on the topic of procurement, it's a very hot topic within Truth and Reconciliation, because the federal government has, for I think it's close to 100 years now, made a commitment to buying something like, if I remember correctly, 11%. Basically, spending 11% of total federal revenue with Indigenous businesses. And that's a target that I shouldn't say to the best of their ability that they've failed to meet, but they have actually tried pretty hard to meet that target, but there just hasn't been enough businesses for them to buy from for a long time. So that has resulted in them doing things like spending a great deal of money on Indigenous artwork, because Indigenous artwork is percentage-wise for industries the largest industry within Indigenous entrepreneurs. So that's why every single government building is just absolutely littered with Indigenous artwork, because they're buying more of it than anybody else, because that's what's been made available to them. But as we expand our communities and our entrepreneurs expand into different types of industries and services, it creates a huge opportunity for them to buy other things that they need. And that is a significant thing, because the federal government does like to pay their bills usually about 9-12 months after they bought something, but they are willing to pay 5 or 10 times more than anybody else. So it can certainly, one client with the federal government or one major purchase on an annual basis can be all of the business really an entrepreneur needs to operate a small business.
Yeah. What kind of changes do you hope to see in Onion Lake because of this program?
Well, I'll tell you something. I didn't find my why for teaching Indigenous entrepreneurship until I was about my 3rd year into teaching this program. But it came from seeing all of the governments and the big medias like CBC's promotion of Indigenous businesses. They always proclaim that, there's 60,000 First Nations owned businesses across Canada. And they say, Indigenous entrepreneurs are starting businesses at a higher percentage rate than any other minority in the country. And it's a multi-billion-dollar economy. And these all sound like really big, flashy numbers. But I live in Toronto, and Toronto has recently been internationally proclaimed, worldwide recognized as the most diverse city in the entire world. And it really is. If I go to my local business strip or strip mall 1 block away from my house, there is a Jewish-owned bakery. There is a Black Canadian-owned barbershop. There is a Filipino-Canadian-owned hair salon and a Malaysian-owned restaurant. And of course, there's a Chinese-owned, what's that called? Like novelty store. And then there's an East Indian Canadian-owned gas station. There's literally every single minority-owned business you can possibly imagine within a 1 block radius of my house, except for one. A First Nations, Métis, or Inuit-owned business. And that closest one to my house is about a 45-minute drive. It's called Nimush Dog Grooming Boutique. They were one of the graduates of the 3rd program that I ever taught. And it's about 45 minutes from my house, though. And that's without traffic, which in Toronto, that never happens. So realistically, it's like an hour and a half drive both ways. So my goal is to simply put an Indigenous business on every block in this country where we see every other minority owning businesses. Because they say, there's 60,000 First Nation businesses across Canada. Well, guess what? There's 60,000 Canadian Italian-owned businesses in Toronto alone. They got a deli or a restaurant on every single corner. The growth opportunity here is endless. So what I hope to see in Onion Lake is just that, Indigenous-owned businesses on every block.
Nice. I love it. What would you say to someone who feels nervous or not good enough to apply?
I would say that entrepreneurs come in all shapes, sizes, colors, backgrounds, and ability levels that you can possibly imagine. There's no such thing as being the right individual for a business. It's about making the business right for the individual. If you feel that you're not good enough or don't have what it takes, I assure you that is not even a question. You have everything that you need. We just need to make the business work for you, not you work for the business. Yeah. Yes, and we've taken participants from every single community across this country over 25 years. We help you develop the skill sets and the plan that you need for success in the business that you choose to operate. And we help you pick one that's going to be a good fit for you and your life and your skill set. And, myself, when I started my first company, I was 17 years old. Everybody told me I was crazy. Everybody told me that I was throwing my life away by not going to university. Everybody told me that I was, in fact, several people very close to me in life told me I was going to be nothing more than the scum of society who would suckle at the social teat for the rest of my life if I didn't drop what I was doing and go back to school. And I'm here 13 years later to tell everybody that they were so completely wrong, and I love it.
That's
It's the
awesome,
best
man. I
decision
love
I
it.
ever made. And no, I didn't have all the skill sets or knowledge that I need, but I learned along the way. And thanks to help of training programs similar to this, I was able to at least overcome many of the barriers without having to face them heads on. And the ones that I did face, I found connections through mentors and business networks that helped me overcome those challenges.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. I love your story, man. Yeah, and I think it's really inspiring, and I think it's really important for people to know, especially here in Onion Lake, that if you have a dream in regards to running your own business, starting your own business, even though you feel like you're not in a position to do that, there's things you got to take care of before even taking that step. If you think that, I think a program like this, like the main thing is it doesn't matter where you're at in your life right now. Taking a program like this, I think it just helps position you or helps you learn and realize what actual steps you can start taking towards that goal. Regardless, again, going back to where you're at in your life, I think a program like this will help put into perspective what steps you can start taking towards achieving launching your own business. And that, going back to like equity and savings and working and understanding leverage and all of that kind of stuff, right? So
Yeah, I completely agree, Fraser. And a program like this is not developed so that every single person's going to graduate and walk out the door and start a business. There's no process in the world that we can teach or follow that will accomplish that result. But what we do is equip people with skill sets and knowledge that they'll need to continue developing or learning in their in their entrepreneurial journeys. Yes, for those who are already operating or are ready in that place of their personal lives to start the business full time, we can help them do that. But for those who aren't ready for that, every skill set that we teach within this program is completely transferable. And statistically, because we've been doing this for 25 years, we do run our numbers regularly. And about 70% of graduates are going to be either operating or starting a business within 5 years of completing the program. Not
right.
all of them are, right? There's a whole other 30% there who are not operating a business for whatever reason. And I see those reasons happen within the program. For example, sometimes terrible things happen and sometimes good things happen. For example, I think every class I've had or every cohort I've had this year, one of the participants is ready to start a business, and then they're going through the training program, and then they tell their boss, "Hey, I'm thinking about going out on my own, start my own business." And the boss goes, "What? You can't do that. I need you. Please, I'll triple your salary and
Yeah,
give you 2 assistants. Don't leave me."
yeah,
I mean, what are you going to do when they offer to triple your salary and give you 2 assistants, right? No hard feelings. Like,
yeah,
most people are going to say yes to that.
yeah.
So these skill sets that we teach in this program are completely transferable. For example, business plan rating is exactly the same process as grant rating. If you want to be able to rate better grant applications for your community organization, this program will help you do that. If you want to develop skill sets in technology, like the use of AI, so that you can work more effectively for the organization that you do, we're going to help you learn that. If you want to learn a little bit about website design or brand creation so that you can be more effective as a graphic designer or internet marketer for an organization you already work for, I'm going to help you do that. Better skill sets in project management, you name it. You name it. It's we call it the best program.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. So just going back as a refresher for the viewers out there, for the membership and the community people, Really quick, when does the program run and for how long? How many spots are available? How can people apply? Who can they contact if they need help applying? Um, yeah. So, and what happens at the end of the program?
Good question. So we'll put a link into the chat here so that you can find the application form. Also, your local ETC office over at Lydia's there has the posters and applications and can help you fill them out if you need assistance. And the deadline for applications or applying is March 2nd. So you got a whole month just about to get your application in. We do only have 30 spots total available. And we kick off class on March 10th. Go every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday until March 26th with a graduation ceremony on March 27th. Classes are 11 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Awesome. Last question. If you could say one thing to the next generation of business owners, what would it be?
It's a big question. This program is long, man. There's a reason why we do this over 3 weeks. I can't just, if I could just pick one thing, this would be a much shorter program. I would say that
Get educated, grab the bull by the horns.
let's put it this way. Statistically, well, you know what? There's just do it, and you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. That's what Wayne Gretzky likes to say. And hang in there, kitty. We'll talk about more of that in class, but statistically, there is a very large failure rate in entrepreneurship. For example, in Canada, it's roughly about 64% within their first 5 years, and that's a high percentage of failure. But a study by the CCIB, Canadian Center or Canadian Council for Indigenous Business, showed that 70% of Indigenous entrepreneurs who had training and experienced mentorship were still in business after 5 years. So that's the key. And that's what made the difference for me was I took advantage of every training opportunity and every mentorship opportunity I could get within my line of sight. And everything that I needed was in that training and mentorship. And that's what we built into this program. So get the training, get the mentorship, and take your odds of success and tilt them into your favor.
Awesome. Love that. Before we go, is there anything you'd like to add? Is there something we missed or something you'd like to touch on a little further?
I just want to say a special thank you to the Onion Lake Cree Nation and, of course, the Employment Training Center and Lydia for having me come back. I know that the popular demand has been great since I was there in November. This is the fastest rebooking of a program I have ever actually had, which we always get rebooked. Everywhere I go, they at least want me back for a second time. But this is the first time it's happened within only a couple of months since I was there. So I'm really excited to come back. I'm really glad that all of our besties and graduates of the program had such a phenomenal time in the first round. And I appreciate those graduates sharing this program with other community members and encouraging them to participate so that they can get the same value that they did.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, that brings us to the end of today's episode, but it doesn't have to be the end of your journey. If this conversation sparks something in you, don't ignore it. This is your sign. The best program is running March 10 to 27, 2026, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And there are only 30 spots available. The program is fully funded by Unlake Cree Nation, making it completely free for registered participants. You can apply by scanning the QR code on the poster or visiting ETC or phoning ETC. If you need anything, if you need help applying, you can contact Lydia Lewis, ETC coordinator, lydia.lewis@underlake.ca. From all of us at 7gen, thank you for listening. Thank you for supporting community. And remember, okay, yeah. AI. But anyway, but yeah, thank you everybody for your time. And thanks again, Zachary, for doing this. I'm sure the participants will enjoy it, and I think we're all looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you, Fraser. I really appreciate this opportunity. Anytime.
Betcha. All right. See you guys. Have a good day out there.